Trading Nation team, Bill Baruch of Blue Line Futures and Steve Chivarone of Federated Investors. Bill, what do the charts tell you on GE?
An ugly situation for a while. If you take a look at the chart over the last year, going back to the December low, there is a trend line down there around $8, and that could bring some support. But what we're also looking at is the 50-day moving average crossing back below the 200, sort of add some pressure there. And given that 200, we just failed at that 200. So $8 is some support there. I think we're going to see some further pressure potentially. So where could you buy it? You know, if you believe that the sum of its parts are worth more than this price here, if you break GE up, back that chart out. You look back to 2009, you have a trend line 2009 hitting that December low. That comes in around $6, $6.50 or so. So $6.50 is where you can look for some long-term. Maybe this thing is worth more than what the price is.
$6.50. That's when we were owned by GE. I think that's where I sold, folks. So just don't follow my advice. Let's move on. Steve, tell me what you think here. I know that you would only own it in your index funds, but what's your perspective on this company as you place it in the larger context of value and cyclical industrial companies?
Yeah, but look, we think of U.S. large caps right now in three buckets: growth names, dividend-focused names, and value cyclicals. In order to really like the value cyclicals, you have to believe that the market, the global economy is on the verge of reaccelerating. We think that can happen in early 2020, but we think we're a ways away. We're still in a period of slower growth and increased stimulus. We don't think that bodes well for value cyclicals. And then when you look at GE specifically, you've got some supply chain issues in the aviation business. You had the note just a couple days ago that was a little bit reticent on the healthcare business. Quite frankly, we think there's just easier places to make money, cleaner stories. If you want to play a cyclical trade here, we think GE is a little bit difficult.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. Bill, thank you. Have a great weekend, gentlemen.
You too.
You bet. And for more Trading Nation, you can head to our website or follow us on Twitter at Trading Nation.
Ahead on Power Lunch, the jobs report not as weak as many had feared, but how will the rise of automation impact the future of the labor market? We'll discuss that next. Plus, Altria releasing its cigarette alternative in the U.S. Will the launch go up in smoke given the rising issues surrounding vaping? And a power player, golf legend Gary Player, is in the house. He'll join us live when Power Lunch returns.
And now, the latest from TradingNation.CNBC.com and a word from our sponsor.
Many traders like to watch technical patterns, and one of the most popular ones is called the Golden Cross. The Golden Cross is where the 50-day moving average moves up through the 200-day moving average. And while this pattern is not intended to get you in at the very bottom, it can often be an effective entry point for a stock or ETF that's in an uptrend. I'm Randy Frederick, and Schwab is the better place for traders.
1 in 10 Londoners surveyed said they'll give more to charity in the next 12 months. Are you one of them? At CAF, we help generous people like you support their favourite charities by making giving simple. And we provide charities with the tools they need to perform at their best. So together, we can make a bigger difference for our communities. We're a charity and a champion for better giving. We are CAF, and we make giving count. Visit cafonline.org to find out more.
You're in charge of hiring, and Indeed has solutions, like online skills tests, which let a candidate show that they are the right hire. And we give you this toy monkey, who will bang its cymbals when the right CV appears on your desktop. Okay, there is no monkey. There is no monkey. But there are online skills tests.
See why more than 250,000 companies in the UK use Indeed for hiring. Visit Indeed.com/try today to try skills tests for free today. Terms and conditions apply.
Get ready for Brexit on the 31st of October. Brexit will bring changes that affect businesses in many ways, particularly if you buy from EU suppliers, sell to EU customers, provide services to EU clients, and receive customer data from other businesses in the EU. Businesses need to prepare. Find out how at gov.uk/Brexit. Get ready for Brexit on the 31st of October.
Time is money. Or so money says. Well, money. I know you like to dictate every hour of every day, add to my to-do list and throw the odd spanner in the works. But not anymore. This is my business, and I run it on my watch. I'm in control now, money. and times are changing. Save time with instant business invoicing, now on the Barclays app. Search Barclays Business and make money work for you.
Must have a Barclays business account. T's and C's apply.
We could play epic music, or we could speak in an overdramatic tone, or even set off fireworks. But that's just not smarty. Instead, we let our offer do the talking. Right now, you can grab 25% off our unlimited data SIM. That's just $18.75 a month with no speed restrictions, no credit check, and no long contract to tie you in. Now that's smarty. Just search Smarty Mobile and switch today. It's easy. Offer available for a limited time only. See smarty.co.uk for terms.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Sue Herrera. Here's your CNBC News update at this hour. Ukraine's prosecutor general says that his office is reviewing all the cases that were closed by his predecessors, including several related to the owner of a gas company where former Vice President Joe Biden's son sat on the board. There has been no evidence of wrongdoing by either Biden or his son. President Trump's re-election effort raised $45 million online in the third quarter on a surge of small dollar donations, driven by 313,000 first-time donors. That's according to campaign officials. It was part of an overall $125 million that was raised in the quarter. Hong Kong riot police firing tear gas on protesters before charging towards them. Protesters were seen vandalizing shops in the area that belong to pro-government owners. Earlier, Hong Kong used emergency powers to ban masks at rallies in a hardening of the government's stance towards the protesters. And Diane Carroll, the Oscar-nominated actress and singer who won critical acclaim as the first black woman to serve in a non-servant role in a TV series as Julia, has died. Her daughter says the cause was cancer. Diane Carroll was 84 years old. You are up to date. That's the news update this hour. Melissa, back to you.
All right, Sue, thank you. And let's get a market check here because we are pretty much sitting at session highs. The S&P 500 up by almost 33 points or 1.1%. 2943 is your level. The Dow is up by 1.1%, almost 300-point gain, a notch there. And the NASDAQ is up by 90 points or more than 1%.
The jobs report surprising a lot of the bears, with non-farm payrolls coming in just below estimates and unemployment hitting a 50-year low. Despite all this, there are still major factors facing the job market: slowdowns in manufacturing and services, the trade war, automation, and a widening skills gap. Kate Rogers is live at a Samsung factory in Newberry, South Carolina, looking at some of the key issues facing manufacturing. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Tyler. That's right. The National Association of Manufacturers says there's currently more than 500,000 open jobs in this sector. 4.6 million jobs will need to be filled through the year 2028, and half of them may be left open, and that's due to a widening skills gap.
If we're not successful in closing the skills gap, it's bad news for America. It means we're not going to be as competitive as we need to be in the global economy. It means America's economic might is not going to be as good as it should be. And it means lost opportunities, lost or lower standards of living for Americans in all areas of the country.
And that's why manufacturers like Samsung, where we're live today, are actively recruiting workers. This plant opened about 2 years ago. They currently have 800 employees and say they'll need an additional 200 workers in the next few years in order to keep up with growing demand for the washing machines that they're making here. They also did something unique today, participating in National Manufacturing Day, opening their doors for middle and high school students in order to get the next generation of potential workers interested in careers in manufacturing that have become increasingly cleaner jobs and also much more high-tech than in years past, guys. Back over to you.
Kate, thanks very much. Kate Rogers. And one of the reasons for the growing skills gap is more technology. Automation is threatening to displace millions of workers over the next decade, according to McKinsey. 40% of Americans, they say, are in shrinking job roles. 14.7 million young workers, they say, are in highly automatable jobs. And by 2030, McKinsey says 60% of job growth could come from only 25 cities. With us now to dive deeper is Susan Lund. She is a partner at McKinsey & Company. Susan, welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
So this has actually resonated quite a bit on the campaign trail. I mean, this is a big part of Andrew Yang's argument about universal basic income. There's a lot of young people who think this is a huge threat to their future. What makes your forecast different than others we've heard over the years that claim robots are taking our jobs, when on a day like today, it's pretty clear there's full employment out there?
There is historically low unemployment. First of all, I'd say we're not saying there won't be jobs. Robots are going to change our jobs. What we find is that we look at the tasks and activities that people do every day in their jobs. And what we find is that for most jobs, machines can do some of what people do, but there's still room for people. So when you think about, say, a retail cashier, well, we can go to a self-checkout machine and give our payment. But what we need to do when we need to find something in the store, we still want to ask someone. So there's a shift, for instance, from cashiers to salespeople. So I think that overall, what we foresee in the next decade or so is a massive transformation and shift in what people do, but not necessarily a shortage of jobs.
You say that young workers are especially at risk of displacement, that upwards of 15 million of them are in highly automatable jobs. How would you say we're seeing the effects of this playing out in the landscape today? How is technology already changing the way that people work?
Yeah, well, we're seeing it all over the place, right? In the last 20 years, we saw automation in manufacturing, but now you're seeing it in white-collar office jobs like executive assistants and bookkeepers. You're seeing it in fast food. You're seeing it in retail. So what's different now, I think, is just the pervasiveness of technology. And as you point out, it's a real challenge for young people who are coming into the workforce in jobs like retail, fast food. A lot of the jobs are sort of your first foot in the door. And if those go away, then there's a question about, well, how do you get young people onto an upwardly mobile career path? And I think it's going to come down to more education and more skills. You're definitely going to need more than a high school degree to be employable in the future.
Is it fair to substitute the word low paying for young people in the scenario you paint? In other words, is automation likely to displace more low-paid workers than high-skilled, high-paid workers?
That's true. What you should really replace the word young people with is people without any kind of post-secondary credential. So somebody who has a high school degree or less is 4 times as likely to be in a highly automatable job as someone with a college degree or more. So this isn't to say everyone needs to go to college, but there is a big uptick if you have any kind of post-secondary credential, whether it's a 2-year degree or an even shorter-term online credential that gives you some kind of marketable skill.
I wonder about programming, Susan, for example. I mean, that's one area where there's really good targeted programs that can get people into the workforce right away that could in some ways bypass college. But those skills, once they become irrelevant, or maybe they, they don't keep up with the times, what happens to those people who don't then have a college education, for example, to fall back on, or skills that they can take from one industry into another?
Well, I think what is going to become the reality is that people are going to go through training and retraining throughout the course of their career. The model where we go to school for 20 years or, the first 25 years of our life, and then we go work for 40 years and never go through another training or educational program, like that era is over. Because as you point out, when you learn skills today, say you learn a programming language, well, then you need to learn Python and R, and it continuously changes. So I think all of us are going to have to get into a mindset of lifelong learning and continuously updating our skills.
So how do you think this plays out into the data and specifically wages, Susan? I mean, does automation automatically cap wages? Or as you had mentioned, because robots can only replace certain sort of unskilled tasks, do workers then become more valuable and get higher wages in the long run?
Well, I think this completely depends on public policy and how we work with the changes underway. If, in fact, you're taking away a lot of sort of middle-wage, middle-class jobs like an executive assistant, a junior accountant, a loan underwriting, a claims processor in an insurance company, if you take those people and don't give them the ability to get other growing jobs in healthcare or in technology or in sales and marketing, they might be competing for the same low-skill, low-wage jobs that are out there and drive down wages. If, on the other hand, we take that idea of the coding boot camp and we create short-term programs in a matter of weeks or months to help someone, say a bookkeeper, go learn a few new skills and become a tax adjuster. Well, the tax adjuster role is much less automatable. That's a very good outcome because you can earn more money, you have a better job instead of migrating downward and competing for low-wage jobs.
Yeah, but it was, when Excel was invented, people said all the bookkeepers are going to be out of work, Susan, and that's all the women. And it's going to be terrible. And no, there was no effect like that.
Now we all use Excel. It's
exactly.
true.
It created entirely new industries and a lot of jobs for young people and women and so forth.
Absolutely. I mean, one thing I would say, this is why we don't believe in the jobless future, that our research suggests technology over time creates jobs. Now, for an individual worker, it could be a bumpy transition.
Right.
We're already seeing in retail, there are 50,000 fewer retail workers today than there were 2 years ago, in large part because of e-commerce.
Yeah.
But we will see shifts in the labor force at an individual level that will need to be navigated. But overall, there will be jobs out there.
All right, Susan, thanks very much. Susan Lund joining us from McKinsey today.
To the bond market now. Rick Santelli is tracking all the action at the CME. Hey, Rick.
Yes, Melissa Lee, I'll tell you what, it's been a wild day. Look at an intraday of twos. And remember, we're unchanged on the day. We're down 24 basis points on the week. Look at an intraday of tens. They're down 2. Look at a one-week chart of tens. They're down 16 basis points on the week. But my favorite graph, stock market, it's close to the highs. They didn't have a problem with the jobs report. But look at a 7-day chart with S&P on top of 10-year note yields. Look at the divergence today. If you looked at Treasury yields, you would not think that they really enjoyed the labor report very much today, the employment report. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of forces that continue to pressure U.S. yields lower. Melissa, back to you.
All right, Rick, thanks. Rick Santelli. As the crackdown on vaping products continues, Altria is launching its new cigarette alternative, a heated tobacco product in the U.S. with the opening of a store in an upscale Atlanta mall. We've got the details. Much more Power Lunch right after this.
The Bond Report.
Today, your information is more exposed than ever. When you shop, sign in, or browse, you could be vulnerable to cybercriminals. More online threats demand more protection. That's why new Norton 360 provides multiple layers of protection, combining device security, secure VPN, password manager, and cloud backup all in one solution. Get new Norton 360, starting at $24.99 for the first year.
Hi, this is Brian Weber, host of NFL First and Goal every Sunday, kicking off at 1 Eastern only on TuneIn Premium. Be sure to listen this Sunday for the ultimate football fan experience, featuring 7 hours of commercial-free coverage of every scoring play around the NFL.
Get social with TuneIn. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest and greatest audio on the app. Explore exclusive content, learn about hot new podcasts, and get alerted when the big game, well, it's about to begin. Add TuneIn to your feed and be in the know when it matters most. From the TuneIn Studios, I'm Fonseca with your daily sports update. A lot of playoff action happening today. We've got Game 1, Rays-Astros. This one's at 2:05 p.m. Eastern. Game 2, Cards at the Braves. This one's at 4:37 p.m. Eastern. And then we got Game 1, Twins-Yankees. This one's at 7:07 p.m. Eastern. And then we've got Game 2, Nationals-Dodgers, 9:37 p.m. Eastern. If you want to catch all these games and find them, search MLB so you don't miss a moment of the action. That's your TuneIn Sports Update.
Want to know what's happening in right now? The latest headlines are just a tap away with Fox News Talk on TuneIn. When news breaks, get up-to-the-minute coverage on developing stories from around the world. Plus, hear all the Fox shows you watch on your TV. Listen to Fox News Talk around the clock on TuneIn.
TuneIn puts you on the sideline for the 2019 college football season free all year long. With college football on TuneIn, hear the home and away call for more than 140 schools live. Regular season matchups and rivalry games. Conference championships and bowl games. The college football playoff.
The throw, he steps up, he's going deep down the right side. Andrews.
You can listen to it all for free.
In the end zone, touchdown.
At home, on campus, or on the road, hear the excitement and pageantry of college football all season long free on TuneIn.
You love TuneIn for live breaking news from CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CNBC, and more. But when you can't catch your favorite show as it airs, it might just be a click away as a podcast. Search your favorite news station to explore all the on-demand news shows on TuneIn.
The MLB is in full swing.
Looking up, and this one is up.
and out. A home run. Swung on and into the air to deep left. That ball is high. That is far. That is gone.
To listen, just search MLB Today on TuneIn Premium so you don't miss a moment of the games on TuneIn.
Okay. The number of cases of a deadly vaping illness continues to rise, with 18 confirmed deaths and more than 1,000 cases across the United States. Now, Altria has released another cigarette alternative that's supposed to be safer for the U.S. consumer. Our very own Angelica Levito is here with all the details. Tell us about this IQOS that just went on sale.
Yes, so Altria just launched IQOS in the U.S. for the first time. Their first market is Atlanta. So in Atlanta, they opened a store in an upscale mall, Lenox Square. There you can buy the device. You can also buy the heat sticks, which are basically the little tobacco sticks that go inside the device. Interestingly, you have to be 21 years old in order to enter the store. They check your ID when you enter, and they ask you if you're a current smoker. And they say that if you're not a smoker, then you will not be allowed in.
So already the market is extremely limited for this device.
Oh, yes. It's very limited, and you can only buy it at that one store. They will be opening another store as well as kiosks around the city, and you'll be able to buy the heat sticks at about 500 stores in the area, but you can only buy the device through an Altria
It
location.
heats tobacco. It does not burn tobacco. What do you get when you inhale? You get a dose of nicotine, number one, and then what is the output of the device? In other words, is there smoke or vapor that goes into the air and might affect you or your child or what?
They call it an aerosol, so it's sort of like a vapor, except it's not an e-cigarette. It does contain real tobacco, similar to a cigarette. However, it does not burn, so there's no ash and there's no smoke.
Presumably, then, you're not ingesting the carcinogens that come when tobacco is burned?
So the FDA, in its review of the product, said that its studies found that it produces fewer toxins than a cigarette. Whether that means it's safe, no tobacco product is safe. The idea is that, in theory, at least, it's less harmful.
Yeah, they're just trying to avoid it getting pulled off the market. If people walk in and say they're not they are a smoker when they're not and then become one, but how can they can't scale something like this?
Enforce that either.
No, or enforce it. I mean, they've got a tough slog.
Oh, they definitely have a tough slot. However, the issue is that the FDA, in authorizing this device for sale, was very clear about the fact that it does not want new people to start using tobacco products. They don't want to end up in the same position where we are with e-cigarettes right now, where you have all of these kids who are using the product. So the FDA, at any point, if they determine that youth use is a problem, they can pull the product from the market. So every quarter, Altria needs to send data on who's buying the product, where they're buying the product, how old they are. So there are pretty strict requirements, and Altria will tell you that that's why, in their mind, it's worth the investment to make sure that the product is getting into the right hands and that people are actually using it. Because if you continue to use this and cigarettes, then there's really no point.
Right. Angelica, thank you. Angelica Levito.
Very interesting. Coming up on Power Lunch, golf legend Gary Player is here in studio. Tons to talk to him about, including his work to keep the future of golf strong. There he is, making his way over to set. Speaking of strong, how does he stay so fit at 84 years old? We've got a lot of questions for Mr. Player next. Don't go away.
We'll start this bidding at 100 guilders.
We spoke to Nigel and Paulette from Lincoln about BT's complete Wi-Fi.
The boys' bedrooms are both in the attic. They do a lot of gaming, they do a lot of streaming. Yeah. They get the same strength of signal now in the attic that we get downstairs.
It was always dropping out, and we don't have that now. The children still get frustrated when they lose at things, but that's completely different.
Nigel, Paulette and the boys are 4 more happy BT customers with complete Wi-Fi that guarantees a Wi-Fi signal in every room.
Up to 3 discs to guarantee Wi-Fi or £20 off your bill. Terms apply.
MLB is right here on TuneIn.
A swing and a drive to right field. That's it. Well, Ramirez back, and that ball's gone.
And to find it all, you need to search MLB on TuneIn.
By the wall, out of here.
Home and away calls are a click away on TuneIn Premium.
Live from the TuneIn Studios, I'm Fonseca with your daily sports update. Major League Baseball action continues. Today we've got the Rays at the Astros. This one's going to be at 2:05 p.m. Eastern.
We've had to kind of create some momentum here the last 15 games of the regular season because of the pressure that the A's and the Indians put on us. So we've been on a nice roll here lately.
Once again, 2:05 p.m. Eastern, Rays at the Astros, Game 1. Right here on TuneIn. That's your TuneIn Sports Update.
NFL fans, the action continues this weekend on TuneIn Premium. This Sunday, TuneIn has every NFL football game starting with the Bills at the Titans at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern and closing out Sunday night with the Colts at the Chiefs at 8:20 p.m. Eastern.
Right up the middle.
Trying to
Touchdown.
dive, touchdown!
At home or on the go, hear the home and away call of every NFL game this season on TuneIn Premium.
Goes like he breaks 3 down to the 5. He's in. Touchdown!
Upgrade today.
Stuck in traffic during the big game? With TuneIn Premium, you can listen to your favorite NFL team on the go. No TV required. Even during rush hour, you won't miss a single touchdown. Listen to the NFL on TuneIn Premium today.
You love TuneIn for live breaking news from CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CNBC, and more. But when you can't catch your favorite show as it airs, it might just be a click away as a podcast. Search your favorite news station to explore all the on-demand news shows on TuneIn.
Get social with TuneIn. Follow TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest and greatest audio happenings across the app. Explore exclusive content.
It's called Indie.
Learn about the hottest new podcasts.
The Nostalgia Mixtape, a new podcast hosted by yours truly, Savannah Shroudy.
And get alerted when the big game's about to begin.
This Sunday is Championship Sunday, when we'll find out which two teams are going to play for the Lombardi Trophy.
Add TuneIn to your feed and be in the know when it matters most.
Golf, from playing to watching to reading about the game, is now an $84 billion industry. And after years of decline following the Great Recession, the sport has stabilized and started to see growth again. While the number of courses closing these days outweighs the number of openings, off-course play at places like Topgolf spurring new interest. So will a new generation truly take up the game that folks like yours truly enjoy some of the time? Let's ask one of the great ambassadors of the game, the legendary Gary Player. Mr. Player, welcome to Power Lunch. Glad to have you. Tell us first why you're in town. You're here for a two-day Pro-Am tournament that benefits a foundation of yours, right?
It's the Gary Player Foundation, and we've been very blessed, as all foundations or any charitable events have got to have good sponsors. We have people like SAP, we have Rolex, and the bank that I work for is one of the most incredible banks in the world in Germany, and they've been fabulous sponsors, absolutely fabulous.
And the charities benefit
absolutely
whom?
In different countries.
In different countries.
For example, in England, we built a home for homeless people sleeping on the streets at night, and they now are doctors and lawyers as such. We've given them facilities. China, we built things for AIDS centers and built AIDS centers. The nice thing about all these charities that we're involved with, you can go there and you can see what's done. In South Africa, we built 2 schools. So it's nice for people to be able to visit who are interested to see what has been achieved.
So tell us about the health of the game as you see it around the world. There has been sort of a leveling off in the number of people who are playing in the United States. I think it's a harder sell these days to young people who are used to playing on their devices.
Absolutely.
And golf is a hard sport, and it is a time-consuming sport.
It is time-consuming, so what have we got to do? We got to bring in, which the USGA and the RNA and the PGA are trying to introduce new rules to speed up the play. I don't think that's quite sufficient, however. What we've got to do is build shorter golf courses. For a man called Jody Morris, we built a golf course that's 12 holes. So you can go with your family, have breakfast, nice little par 3, get it done in an hour and a half to 2 hours, and it's not time-consuming. You've got the rest of the day. And
that works for me.
No, it does. It's enjoyable. Why has it got to be 18 holes? Anything that'll speed up the play. If you go to St. Andrews in Scotland,
I might be able to score in the 60s on a 12-hole course.
You certainly will. But if you go to St. Andrews in Scotland, you can get through a round of golf in 3 hours. They don't have that problem. But now you see pros setting a bad example. They come out with a book and they're reading a piece of paper on how to read the greens. Now, if you don't know how to read greens, they don't putt any better than the Billy Caspers and the Bobby Locks and the Bob Charles and all these great players that played. Tiger Woods never had a piece of paper looking at the wood, and nobody putted better than he did. We've got to eliminate all these things that are taking too much time. And we've got to realize that golf, I'm 84. I can still beat my age. I beat my age by an average of 10 shots around. Admittedly, I take care of myself to do it. But no other sport can you do that to the degree you can in golf. And I've traveled more miles than anybody that's ever lived now, and I can tell you that you do business on the golf course, You've got a sport that has longevity. You make a lot of friends. It's a game forever, and it's a challenge like you've never had. So with all these new ideas coming up, golf is a resurgence of golf, which is very good to see.
You've designed more than 400 golf courses worldwide. You said, why does a golf course need to be 18 holes? Have you gotten any demand or seen any demand for golf courses that have changed how they are designed in order to accommodate the desire for a faster game?
Yes, like this one for this man, Johnny Morris, who has the Bass Sporting Goods store. He suddenly realized it was taking too much time, and he has this resort, and people don't want to see people on the golf course too long. They want them in the resort and the bars and the pro shop buying things. And so it's been very effective, and Jack Nicklaus did one up there as well.
Yeah, so Jack Nicklaus has been a booster of this.
Yes, he has, and also to slow the ball down. We're going to have golf. It's going to have two different games. I know they don't like that idea, but honestly, Tyler, they got young men today that are built like Tarzan.
Koepka is a...
No, but Koepka's going to be Mickey Mouse compared to these guys in the future. These guys are going to be like this, like proper weightlifters, which they have right now, and they hit the ball 458 yards. They're going to drive the first hole at Augusta. Now, that'll give Augusta a very big shock to hear that, because they can't take the tees much further back than
But you know what's interesting about golf is you do not, and you're not a person of huge stature. Fleetwood, Tommy Fleetwood, is that his name?
Yes,
he is a slight man. He is not, and he's one of the elite players in the world. You don't have to be huge to play well.
No, but it's an advantage if you can have a great short game and hit the ball 380 yards or 400 yards, which is going to be a common occurrence.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of everything. But today they are training with weights, which so many people were adamant that I would never win another tournament at 35. I did win one at 63. I sent that man an SMS up there and said, I hope you see I'm winning at 63. But now they're all lifting weights and they're training in all sports. You've got to be strong. You've got to learn to eat properly. I think, if I may say, the greatest country in the world, the United States of America, the obesity level here, that's my great dream now that I'm finished competing, is to get young people to look after their body and realize it's a holy temple and be productive for this great country, which they should kiss the ground every day and realize how lucky they are to live here. Because what these eyes have seen, what I've seen, how socialism has crippled the world and how the wars and the things I've seen, that would be my dream to see happen in this country.
So you're 84, you shoot 10 strokes under your age.
Average.
I'm not going to tell you my age, but I shoot 30 above my age. Gary Player, thank you. My whole goal is to reduce the average cost per stroke. That's why I hit more.
Well, it's the first 20 years are the toughest. Good luck.
Yeah, Gary Player, thank you so much. Great to meet you.
Okay.
Let's get a check on the markets as we head into the final hour of trading. And it has been a very crazy week. We're sitting here pretty much at session highs. We got the S&P 500 up by 32 points or 1.1%. The NASDAQ is higher by 1.2%. And we've got the Dow up by 286.5 points. That's a gain of 1.1%.
Fascinating wrinkle today that even though the jobs report is making people a little less banking on a Fed rate cut, you're not seeing that hurt the market. That bid's coming out of the market a little, but we continue to rally.
For the week, we're still down about 1%. Is that right?
For the week, we are down 0.6% on the S&P 500, which is
0.6%.
Almost nothing.
Really
remarkable.
Nothing. Really nothing.
Yeah.
With all the anxiety that was attended earlier in the week.
Thank you for watching Power Lunch.
Closing bell starts right now. I'm going to sit here and talk to Mr. Player.
Welcome to the Closing Bell. I'm Courtney Reagan in for Sarah Eisen. I'm here on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange at the HP Post, where that stock is down more than 10% on the session on a day when the broader market is rallying back, chipping away at the week's losses as we sit here just off session highs. We'll tell you what's behind all those moves coming up.
All right, Court, thanks. I'm Scott Wapner in for Wilfred Frost today. Let's look at what's driving the action. An ambiguous jobs picture, but the headline unemployment rate drops to the lowest level in half century. The president projects an optimistic tone on trade negotiations with China, which resume next week. And Fed Chairman Powell says the economy's in a good place and it's his job to keep it there. We also just heard from Eric Rosengren. And speaking of the Fed, yes, there is more. We have an exclusive interview coming up. Loretta Mester is the president of the Cleveland Fed right after the close, 4 p.m. today. Of course, you don't want to miss that. Joining us for the hour here is Charlie Babrinskoy from Ariel Investments. All right, Charlie, let's get a comment from you on what we witnessed today. Was this a big sigh of relief? after some of the data we got earlier in the week?
Yeah, I think after these numbers, the market was really nervous about a recession. In fact, that's the conventional wisdom in the market, that we're going into a recession. There's a lot of evidence that bulls like me keep pointing to that we're not. But you see, when you get even a so-so number, the market reacts very positively.
Yeah, I mean, look, services growth is slowing, and that's the point of contention right now, is does the manufacturing upset bleed into the consumer? And if it does, you've got a problem.
But you had a very strong wage growth, about 3%. People, it's not even the fact that unemployment is going down, it's that people feel secure in their job. It's a tight job market. And so people are not worried about losing their job. They're spending more, and we're still 70% of consumer economy.
Well, if they lose their job, there's about 1 million of them that are available. So I think maybe they might be able to find another one. Let's focus in on the big stories that we are watching here today. Bob Pisani has a look at the roller coaster week for stocks. Diana Olick has more on today's jobs report. And Josh Lipton is watching bullish signs for Apple. Mike Santoli is here with his market dashboard, as always. Bob, we're going to start to you first on this very wild week for the market.
And Courtney, the jobs report today was just enough to cool down some, but not all of the recession worries. So the momentum guys are out here. We had a slow melt up today. The volume spiked at around 11:30 Eastern time as the European markets closed and as the S&P 500 passed the earlier highs of the day at 10 o'clock Eastern time. We had several others late in the afternoon. We kept hitting the high. You see those circles there on the top. Those are volume spikes as we moved up. As for the week, quite a wild ride here. Just take a look at our cool graphic here. Thank you, Gino, for doing this for us. 1,200 points down in 3 days, then 800 points rally back in the Dow here. So Tuesday's weaker manufacturing numbers sparked a severe 2-day sell-off. Then we get a weaker read on the services sector. That was on Thursday. Combination of oversold conditions and higher odds for a Federal Reserve rate cut calmed things down a bit. And today, guys, it looks like investors got the jobs report that they can live with. Scott, back to you.
Okay, Bob, thank you. Turning now to that jobs number, which helped spark today's rally. Diana Olick joins us now from Washington. Hey, Diana.
Hey, and it was a little short of expectations, but still a solid gain of 136,000 jobs in September. The bigger headline, though, was a drop in the unemployment rate to 3.5%. That's the lowest level since 1969. Average hourly earnings lost a penny, so flat for the month, up to